guilty of crime.
Hello, everybody. What's up? Hopefully, you guys can hear me. I changed my browser to see if it goes a little smoother. Let me know if you can hear me. I am Jay with Guilty of Crime, and we're back, y'all. Happy Monday. What's up, guys? I know everybody is off doing something else because Brian Kohberger just took a plea deal. He accepted it, guys. So what's up, everybody? Roll on in. Right before this started, I said, oh my goodness, guys. Now, I have not been covering the Brian Kohberger case on this channel. I've only covered it once because it's just all over the place and so many other channels are covering it. So, that being said, thank you for being here. I know everyone's probably going to come back and want to watch this on the rewatch crew. So for those of you that are here, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a good Monday. That really did make my day. I got to tell you, I'm very invested in the Brian Kohberger case and following it for the 4 victims. Those were only children. They, in my opinion, Brian Kohberger took their life and didn't give 2 shits about it. So let him be washed through the system. Hopefully he gets 4 life sentences without the possibility of parole. What's up, everybody? How you doing? Good to see you. You guys caught alive. Good. Welcome. We're finally coming back to the Madeline Soto case. So let's do this so you can see what we're here for. Justice for Madeline Soto. I am here for the justice of Madeline Soto and to see through that Jen Soto gets arrested. Or if she does not get arrested, which we're going to talk about at the end of the show, we're going to talk about where is Jen Soto, you guys. It's important that we talk about that, okay? So, yeah, Nancy Jean, good to see you. Good news. BK took a deal. You know what? I knew when you drag a case out, and now he was dragging it out. He kept giving multiple, alibis. It's another guy. I was stargazing. If you're innocent, 90% of the time you want it to go fast. It's taken so long. All right. So they haven't given any details, guys. I know you guys are anxious to know, is it an Alford plea? What's going to happen? Did the family accept it? Is he going to tell us? I'm going to tell you all that right now. We don't know yet. None of those details have come out. It's all speculation. Just because Brian Kohberger accepted it doesn't mean the judge will. So they could go back and forth, and there can be multiple iterations of the deal. The plea deal might be that you have to plead guilty to 4 of the killings, is what they called it, and tell the family what happened. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on what the deal is. All right. So now that you guys are in here, there's going to be a huge rewatch crew. I already know, because there is new content and we are reacting to the truth behind Stefan Sterns' alleged confession. Did he confess to killing Maddie? We're going to go over that. Grizzly True Crime was on that episode. We're going to go over that, and we're going to answer the questions together. So good to see you guys. Good to see my guilty of crime crew family back. Hashtag arrest Jen Soto. I definitely um, miss talking about Maddie and the justice for Maddie, but boy, does it feel good to cover other cases and get attention onto the cases that need them, right? Jack and Lily, Sebastian, and so many others, guys. We just been knocking out a case a day. Millie, good to see you, my friend. How you doing? All right, guys, you guys know the drill. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, get a membership if you can, and support the channel. All right, so I got that down below. Good to see everybody. Rachel, Microwave Cheese, I haven't seen you. Sadie's mama, love you. Mods, thank you for being here. Rebecca, how you doing? All right, so hit that like button, and then down below, you can support the channel by going on to Ghost and signing up, or any of the platforms below. If you want to email me, it's guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com. All right. So we're here for justice for Maddie. We've got quite a long episode today. So I know a lot of people are going over there to see what's happening with BK. I got to tell you, you guys are not missing a whole bunch over here because I read it. I know about it. And that's what it is. He's taking a deal. The other details will come in tomorrow or the next day once the plea deal is solidified. All right. So everybody's talking about it, but we're here looking for justice for Madeline Soto. All right. Good to see you, Sandra. Everybody, it's lit up in green today. So thank you. I tried this new platform. I'm trying to do a, what is it? It's it's a Microsoft platform instead of Google. So let's see how that goes. Nath, thank you so much for the one Guilty of Crime membership. It is June 30th today, so it's the last day of the month. I think that's how YouTube works. The last day of the month, you get as much as you can in, and bam. All right, so green. All the greens in the house. What's up, y'all? Let's get into it. We have a really long episode today, I think, because there's a lot of discussing to do, and I do have semi announcement. I can't get in detail, like super detail about it, but I do have some things to tell you. I'm trying to figure out my camera situation here, so make sure you guys can see me. All right, let's go, guys. What's up, Cyber Warrior? Good to see you. So much green. Krista, where's the green? We got to get you in green, my friend. All right, let's see how this goes. Otherwise, I'll have to switch to a different platform. Let's go.
The upcoming trials of Stefan Sterns loom like a storm on the horizon, dark, inevitable, and filled with devastating truth. Accused of murdering 13-year-old Madeline Soto, Sterns faces a gauntlet of charges that expose a horrifying portrait of abuse, manipulation, and betrayal. Prosecutors allege he groomed Madeline for years, living in her home, sharing her space, and slowly...
Again, this came out on Friday. Let me know if you guys can hear it okay. It's a new platform. What is up, Vermont? Love you too. And Microwave Cheese, you never fail to support the channel. So thank you so much for the 5 Guilty of Crime memberships, and Nat for the Guilty of Crime membership. I love you. So much green. We're trying to get green in here. We now have the whole entire, almost the whole entire crew today. And I'm really glad that I'm here and I'm able to do it, because I was at the dentist this morning for hours, guys, and my face was like this. My face was like drooping earlier. I got a crown in the very back of my mouth, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to come on, but guess what? 2 good things. I was able to come on, and Brian Kohberger took a plea deal. We don't have to hear any more conspiracy theories. So happy Monday, guys. I love you. I love when things are going in the direction. Now, we know trial is set in July for Stefan Sterns. I hate to burst anyone's bubble, but I don't think that's going to happen, folks. I don't think that's going to happen. That is my very educated guess. You guys know that I'm going to get out there to Florida at some point for the trial. So let's see if we can get something locked down. Indy, thank you so much for the super sticker, and CC Blooms for the super sticker. You guys are awesome. All right, let's go. Buckle up, guys, because we have a ride today.
Eroding every boundary of safety. The evidence is shocking. Surveillance footage, digital footprints, discarded belongings, and most chilling of all, the lifeless body of Madeline found strangled and abandoned. As the courtroom prepares for testimony, the public demands justice for a child stolen too soon. Witnesses will recount moments of missed warnings, red flags ignored, and a mother, Jen Soto, who may have allowed darkness too close. The trial promises to be emotionally charged, exposing uncomfortable truths about trust and denial. Sterns will stand not just as a defendant, but as the face of a monstrous violation that shook a community to its core.
And I gotta tell you guys, at some point, I'm gonna have to tell you the untruths that are being said. As much as it's not as appealing as hearing from me, oh, guess what? Stefan Sterns is being targeted. He's being extorted for his coffee. I gotta tell you guys, it's not so salacious over there in Stefan Sterns' land in his cell. So as much as I know it sounds satisfying to hear that him writing a letter to mom and then somebody saying, oh, I know that terminology, he's being extorted. I hate to break it to you, and I can't give you much more information, but Stefan Sterns did in fact accept me to talk to him. Now, I know Plunder tried to get to him and some other ones, and he declined. But I got to tell you, I can't tell you what we're talking about, probably not for a long time. Now, it is going to come out when FOIAs come out. So you're going to see Stefan Sterns talking to Jay Scott from Guilty of Crime. We have had some conversations, and I got to tell you, a lot of those details aren't really happening at all. So what my point is, I want to become a better person and a better journalist. And I want to do what, let's say, Annie Elise did with Sherry Papini. Now, we heard Sherry Papini and we took in what we believed to be true and what we didn't. So in the mind of a killer, just think of it that way. I will tell you guys more as we go, but I got it. He does know that, Ocean Cat. Ocean Cat, I got to tell you, I did get reamed a new butthole. Okay. Don't think that it was an easy conversation when Stefan Sterns says, hey, why are you talking about my pinky winky? Or what are you calling me Stinky Sterns for? Don't think I don't have to answer those tough questions. Don't think that I don't have to answer why I'm talking about his pinky winky, because that he came straight out the gate and said, why are you talking about my dick? And why are you talking about me stinking? So just saying, I've had to go up against some obstacles, and I just want you to know at some point it's going to come out and it's going to hit you guys maybe before I'm able to tell you. And that's why I'm telling you, I can't tell you exactly what we talk about, but just know at some point it's going to come out. Sandra Acuna, thank you for being a YouTube member, and everybody else. No, he did ask me. He knows all about the Pinky Winky. He knows about the cactus peen, and he knows about our stuffed animal, Stinky. I mean, guys, he's hearing everything that we're doing here, and he does know you guys don't like him at all. Okay, so it is what it is. All right, let's go.
Stefan Sterns facing two trials, one for the murder of Madeline Soto. That's scheduled right now for the fall. We'll see if that happens. But coming up next month is the trial involving the alleged sexual abuse and the photographs and videos of Madeline.
All right. Do you think that's going to happen next month? Does anybody think that trial is going to happen next month? If you think it's going to happen next month, hit a 1. If you think it's not going to happen next month, hit a 2. And I am going to take Synth up on it. I don't want to travel to Florida by myself. With all the things going on behind the scenes that are coming to real life, I'm a little bit afraid to travel to Florida by myself. Thank you, Misty Free Spirit, so very much. my jaw hurts because it was 2 hours at the dentist. All right. So what's up, Carrie? Good to see you. Yeah, no way. No way. Krista says yes, but no way, guys. Let's keep going. We got a long one today. All right.
Soto being abused. Evidence that was found and recovered from Stefan Sterns, according to prosecutors, from Stefan Sterns' phone and his Google Drive. Now, in the build-up to this first trial, for all those images and the nature of what was taking place in those videos and pictures on Stefan Sterns' phone, there was a pretrial hearing. The defense, Stefan Sterns, trying to get that evidence suppressed, trying to keep it away from the jury in the trial. Take a listen to some of the arguments.
During your contact with law enforcement, did they see or take an...
All right, listen up. Before anybody gets upset, I've got every kind of boost that I can. I've got every kind of thing up. You might have to just read the screen a little bit because it's hard to hear what Stefan's saying on the mic. It's very muffled. So if you need to read it, please read it. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel, and stay here. Stay here. You know what? I must be doing something right. All right. Now, no matter how you feel about Stefan, we still need to get into the mind of a person like Stefan and figure out what went wrong. And I got to tell you, I am doing that right now. So the other YouTubers that tried to get to him, they must have had a plan. All right. Now, Tiff also, you might see Tiff's name in there at some point on a FOIA. She tried to help me get in there, and she put a couple messages and decided not to. It's tough when you really have to like make sure that you know what you're saying, because it's going to be conveyed not only to him, but to the entire world, and they take it out of context. All right. So Indy says I may be in Orlando mid-September. Maybe you can absolutely meet me there as soon as we get there. Let's go.
What item was that?
That would be my cell phone.
You know what type of cell phone it was?
It was a Samsung Galaxy. I believe it was a 24.
And what was your understanding is what they were going to do with it?
They were just going to check my Google Maps and check to see if I was logged into Google, and that was it. That was all I agreed to.
Did you have the opportunity to see what law enforcement was doing on your cell phone?
No, as a constable was still talking to the tablet, walked away, and began searching those things in the access.
Isn't it true that she actually handed your phone back to you?
Briefly, once she told me to input my PIN, because it locked itself.
Who entered the passcode into the phone?
Stefan.
Does the defendant ever communicate to you any limitations on what it is that you're doing?
He does not.
Does the defendant ever attempt, either verbally, physically, or in any type of way, to cease the search of the phone?
He does not.
At that point, it was just to check whether he was logged into his Google, right?
Correct.
Not going through the entirety of his phone.
Correct.
You never asked him, can I go through the entirety of your phone?
He was standing next to me while I was on his phone.
Okay, so it's your basis that he has to say, no, you can just keep.
Now, bottom line, guys, I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to get an outcome on this real soon. All right. So the reason this is coming up in your news feed right now is because the judge has this, and the judge is ruling on this. And I'm going to tell you, the judge is going to rule on this before that July date comes up. Okay. So we're going to start hearing stuff. Now, this is actually new content. We're not rehashing old content. This is new content today that we're talking about. Much more new things are going to come out right around the time trial is supposed to start. Okay. Now, yeah, Microwave Cheese, he's definitely not going to answer anybody that says, Stefan, are you a chomo? Yes, Your Honor. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Ask Kelly. If Kelly rolls in here, she wrote a nasty gram. It was rejected. Didn't even make it to him. It was a vile letter is what we call it.
Digging until he says stop?
Correct.
Now, they're talking about the images on his phone. I'm going to put up a piece of the affidavit that describes the images on his phone. I'll read it. I'm not going to read every word, so you need to read along with me to really understand what we are talking about here. Let's take a look at that affidavit. Upon reviewing the contents of Stefan's phone, several images and videos were located which depicted the missing juvenile with her breasts, her lower private parts, and other parts below the belt as the focal point of the pictures and videos. You can read the words, folks. There were also pictures and videos depicting the missing juveniles.
Yeah, we're not going to read those words because those give me, I'm going to move to that so we can look at the date. You guys know what is alleged in this case. I do absolutely all the way through believe hashtag arrest Jen Soto. I think she needs to be arrested today. I got to tell you, the more and more I dig into this case and the more I find out, the more I talk to even Stephan, guys. And it's not because he says that. It's what he doesn't say, or it's what's not said. I believe that Jen Soto was already doing money for pictures before Stephan came along, and it was a good setup that she had. I absolutely thank you for the 420 gifted membership, Foxy Amazon. Justice for Maddie. Hashtag arrest Jen Soto. I gotta tell you guys, I think this was set up before anybody that would watch Maddie or was willing to go along with taking pictures in exchange for money, Jen was on board, in my opinion. All right, entertainment purposes only, but gotta tell you. Now let's look at this calendar real quick before it switches. All right.
Because this trial is just around the corner.
Look at that.
The sex charges trial is July 14th right now. Murder charges scheduled for September 22nd.
Look at that, guys. Please mark your calendar. Mods, please mark my calendar and yours. July 14th and September 22nd. Those are significant dates. All right. Very significant dates that we're going to be seeing new information and rulings coming out in this case. All right. So let's keep going.
But this whole hearing about whether or not the jury gets to see the evidence that was found on his Google Drive and his phone that we just described to you is for the trial on July 14th. And that brings us to the first question in our investigation, one that everyone is wondering. Why hasn't there been a decision on the suppressing digital evidence?
It's coming,
The trial
guys.
is going to happen very, very soon. No decision yet on all of this. Here to help us answer that question, Grizzly K, creator and host of Grizzly True Crime on YouTube.
And I got to laugh a little bit about this, guys. Listen up to this. Vinnie Politan says to Grizzly, he says to Gizela, he says, oh yeah, you were the first one on the case. And you've been following it for years. Mic drop, boom. This case hasn't been happening for years, first of all. And love you, Grizzly. I got to tell you, though, nobody wanted to take this case, and that's why it got brought over to me. I probably had 5,000 subscribers at the time, and nobody wanted to touch this case because of the RAPE word and the MURDER. Everyone ran from the case. All right. So you might not have seen me, but I definitely took the case before anyone else did, which again, you would know because you didn't know me. And we got to redact information. Last week when this came out, mic drop again, something wasn't redacted and a really nasty, awful letter got to Stefan's parents, you know, kind of like what we were talking about, the bullying thing where it's like, go off yourself, whatever. That's what I'm saying. Just not okay. Not okay. Now, I started thinking about Carmelo Anthony and his family, and the more I think about it, just wait until tomorrow. They're part of the problem. All right. But I'll tell you why tomorrow.
Which is amazing, has broken news on this for years now on this case. Gisela, great to see you tonight. Give us a better idea of how this happened. How was it that investigators were able to get into Stefan Sterns' phone? At what point of the investigation? Give us a little more background in all of that.
Okay, so Stefan Sterns, of course, was, upfront with trying to help law enforcement to find missing Madeline Soto. He and Jen Soto, his ex-girlfriend, reported her missing. So there he was showing the police where he dropped off at school, but they already had surveillance footage. So they knew he was lying. So they needed to look at his phone because they wanted to know what's on his maps. Where was this guy? When they looked at his phone, they noticed.
Well, we love big outlets, guys, because the big outlets bring the content and they have exorbitant amounts of money. They just have money to throw at the cases, right? Grizzly True Crime, same thing. We love her. They'll never think I'm saying anything bad because I don't do that on here. I don't throw shade at any creators. I just like to laugh and giggle a little bit when I want to correct something. This case hasn't been going on even for 2 years. So that didn't happen. And I guess nobody knew who I was anyway. So whatever. But thank you to Court TV and Grizzly for bringing this today. All right, let's go.
Damn, there's no information on here. What happened? And he said, oh, I factory reset my phone. And he actually did it twice. So that obviously raised a lot of red flags. And so along the way, they asked consistently for the PIN code to his phone. They asked for consent to search his phone, in my opinion, every step of the way. Because I've also looked at this long and hard. Like, did they get consent? Sure, a search warrant up front could have been cool, better, but they did get consent. And he never withdrew his consent.
Yes.
So that's how they came to actually look at the phone, do the forensic download, but then it connected, because he thought he got it factory reset, so he'll be fine. It connected to his Google Cloud account and just repopulated all the child SA material, the pictures of Madeline Soto that they're now accusing him of, the 60 charges of CSAM. So that's not what they were expecting. They were looking for a missing child. They weren't looking for CSAM. They weren't looking and thinking this is a homicide case at that point.
Oh my God. Perfect time to stop on this. And thank you, Nath. Again, this is another membership from Nath. It's 2 memberships now. Thank you. All right, guys. So listen up here. This case did do that. I love that she called that out because this case was not supposed to be CSAM. They were looking to find Maddie, and hopefully she would have been at one of her friend's house, right? Hopefully on the 13th, she was at a friend's house. She was mad because she was not getting along with Jen Soto, and she ran away. That's what we were hoping for there. Never in a million years would we thought that this would happen. And no, I'm sure Stefan Sterns and Jen Soto had no idea that this was going to go international. All right. Anna Fleming, you want a membership? Yeah, we do want you to get a membership. We want to see you in green. All right. So yes, they weren't looking for that, but they found it.
Amazing. And from my perspective, the credibility of police here, like, is he actually consenting to all this? Well, there's a reason why he would consent to it, because he believed that the phone had been accidentally reset. So there's no information at all. It's like buying your iPhone over at the Apple store. You get it, and there's nothing on it. What Sterns didn't realize is that all this stuff, as you mentioned, repopulated. So to me, that makes sense. But this is the whole case for the first trial, right? This is.
Again, Jen Soto is the one that told him, give them your phone. You're making yourself look more suspicious. Why did she say that? Why did she say, give him your phone? You're looking more suspicious. Is it because she knew? I absolutely think she did, but she thought his phone was wiped. All right. Period.
Whoever wins this likely wins the trial, wins this decision by the judge about whether or not the information comes in, because the genesis of the charges here is what was found on the phone, correct?
Correct.
Oh,
so I think that's why the judge hasn't made a decision yet, even though, it's getting close to the time when he set his own deadline for when he'll make a written decision. But I think he's really very cautiously weighing everything, because it's really very serious, of course. It's a death penalty case. It's a lot of very serious charges. And I think the defense has a point that he obviously needs to look at. I really hope he rules in the favor of the state, and obviously that this evidence won't get thrown out. In the meantime, the judge has bought himself one extra day. The trial's actually been reset to July 15th. So there's one.
Okay, so change your calendar, and you're right, Abby Poodle. Mark your calendars in pencil, because you're going to do a lot. You are going to do a lot of changing. Now, Psychic Amelia, she did sit there with Sterns and wipe his phone. She talked about it in her interview that they sat there and he accidentally reset his phone. She knew it, she saw it, and they didn't restart it. Obviously, they didn't restart it and do the whole thing. I guarantee you she thought it was wiped as much as he did. I think he was very much more hesitant than she was, and she told them do it because she's a puppet master here. I'm telling you guys, Jen Soto's a puppet master, and she was never groomed by Stefan. Now Maddie was groomed by Jen and Stefan, but Jen wasn't groomed by Stefan. She's the one that was the puppet master. What's up, Low Red? Good to see you.
One more small delay, just one more day later for now. We write the dates in pencil, of course, because it could change at any time.
Absolutely. And my perspective of all of this is that, listen, this decision on this suppression motion is the case, because it's almost, I don't think there is a real defense after that. If this evidence comes in, it's almost impossible to defend because it's his phone, it's Madeline, it's him. The images are what they are. They can be pretty easily identified. If the evidence does not come in, I don't know where prosecutors go. I don't think they can prosecute the case. So it's kind of an all or nothing situation. Absolutely. Okay.
No, they weren't just on there. So the bulk of them were on his phone, but they'll have a few bits and pieces. And if that was to get suppressed, maybe they'll try to go for a plea deal. That's an interesting assumption, that if they get kicked out, what's going to happen with the case and what else do they have? What did Stefan Sterns consent to? What did Jen Soto have on her stuff? What did she know that he had? Where else did it come from? And what? Great question. Can't wait to see. Nat, thank you for being a member. I think you've been a member longer, but it says 4 months. # arrest Jen Soto. Abso-freaking-lutely. We need Jen Soto. I don't think they need her so bad. And I do wonder what she's going to say on the stand. They're going to rip her a new arse hole.
Okay, let's do this. Gizla is going to stay with us. We've got more to get to here, including did Stefan Sterns confess to killing Madeline?
I'd run downstairs and shaken her awake and called 911 and all that.
Brutal murders of 4 University of Idaho students.
All right, guys, if you rolled in here late, Brian Kohberger just took a plea deal today. It hasn't been accepted in court by the judge just yet, but he took a plea deal admitting to killing all 4 Idaho students right there. So tomorrow, more details should come. No more trial in August for Brian Kohberger. He has accepted a plea deal, all right? He is admitting to, as far as I know, killing all 4 students there. So say a prayer for the Idaho 4 that they get complete and utter justice. And part of the stipulation in the plea deal will be that he has to tell what happened. All right. Please, please, please. But yes, Wednesday he will plea deal. Thank you, Monique. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's go. I knew that he did it the whole time. I've been saying that, and I'm really glad that we can get down to it. No, he's not going to get the death penalty, but he's never going to get out, guys. All right.
No, I did not. And I was literally out of my mind when I was first booked into jail. I was hallucinating. I was hearing things and seeing things very badly.
That's a jail call. Stefan Sterns speaking with his parents. Now, in this case, kind of unusual. We have a lot of instances of Stefan Sterns speaking and being recorded, whether it's on a phone call, in an interrogation, or a TV interview.
Yes.
So he has spoken a lot about this. He is on record, whether it's telling his story or talking about himself. Let's take a listen.
What do you think was on the phone?
Text messages. Emails. Phone stuff.
Pictures?
Yeah.
What kind of pictures were on there? Here's where I'm going to be brutally honest with you. There's your phone. And I'm pretty sure you know what some of those pictures are about.
Just that, they say that sometimes when you, like children, that you have been an abused child, and it was intimated that perhaps we had abused you in some way.
No, he has never did. And strictly speaking, I'm not actually into younger people like that.
Let me tell you guys something real quick. These calls are kind of saving grace, so to speak, guys, because you're never going to hear any of this again. I got to tell you, you never typically hear this ever. All right. You never hear this kind of stuff, and you're not going to hear it from them again. He got reamed by his attorneys for these phone calls that came out. Some people, when they're new to the justice system and they've never been arrested before, they don't know what's going to be FOIA'd, what's going to be not FOIA'd, what's going to be what. So most people you just hear them talking about me, and I need my commissary, I need my stuff, yada, yada. You're never going to hear this again on any of these phone calls. So listen closely, because from now on, all you're going to hear and all you're going to read is about root beer barrels and candy and meals and books. All right. He got ripped a new one, and rightfully so, from the defense attorney. It's really hard to defend a person that's talking. All right. So like I said, you're not going to see this again.
I don't even like most kids, so it's just hard to feel a generalized attraction towards any of them. I wish I had done the correct thing to begin with. I wish I had run downstairs and shaken her awake and called 911 and all that. And
well, I wish you had too. I wish you had too. Maybe she could have been saved, but
she was beyond that.
Okay.
When someone's that ice cold and just gone.
She was in a different part of the house?
Yeah.
She wasn't with you?
She had.
Again, just these particular things that he's saying puts him at the scene of the crime, and it puts him as not calling 911 with whatever happened to her. Now, Stephan has seen the autopsy and he's seen the documents. He gets to be part of his defense. So whatever that he says on this or I say on this, you guys can take it all with a grain of salt. It's all my opinion, and it's all them saying what they, everybody, there's three sides to everything. There's three sides to a truth. There's my truth, there's your truth, and then there's the truth of it all, right? You have one side, they have one side, and then a third party is going to see something different. So that's how I see this. And I'm glad that we're able to hear this, because guess what, guys? You're not going to hear any of this again. This is really old, by the way. This is like way last year.
Gone to be with me earlier in the night, but I left her alone for quite a while.
That's troubling. That's troubling. What is he saying there? Like, it's too late. I wish I had done something. That brings me to the next question in our investigation. Did Stefan Sterns confess to killing Madeline right there? Is that an admission?
Well, it certainly puts him at the scene of the crime now, doesn't? And then when you start talking about Jen Soto and saying, well, she was asleep. Yes, I should have woke her up. I should have called 911. I mean, who else does it leave in the house, right? So now they're going to want to talk to Jen Soto, and they're going to want her to say, where were you when that happened? How did Stefan get her out of the house? Did you know? Whatever. They have more cameras. They have more footage than anything that we have or that we've seen. So yes, at this point, what he's saying is putting him at the scene of the crime, and he's saying that she was blue there. Doesn't necessarily mean he's confessing, but he was there and he got rid of her body. We saw that in the cameras. Well, we don't get to see the cameras. We don't want to see those. What's up, Missing Piece Jax? Good to see you.
Here to help us in our investigation, still with us, Grizzly K, and joining us, former prosecutor Margaret McLean. She's also the host of It's a Crime with Margaret McLean. Margaret, thanks so much. Let me ask you, does that sound like an incriminating confession, an admission, that statement by Stefan Sterns?
I think it does, and I think a jury will think it's a confession as well, or some sort of admission. My God, the case is so troubling as it is that jurors will look at him and say, oh my God, you're a sick person. You killed her. And you're talking about her being too cold and far gone by then. I think this guy is, hopefully if the evidence against him isn't suppressed, which I don't think it will be, I think this guy is cooked in front of a jury.
Gisela, your thoughts about those statements? Those were some of the most shocking that you uncovered. What are your thoughts? What was your reaction?
I think those statements are highly incriminating, but there's also a little letter that he wrote in jail, a poem to Maddie in July of 2024, saying, "As I held you in my arms, my heart died with you." So that's a written confession. Then there's all these jail calls. I'm so glad he's talking to his parents. There's jail emails between his parents. This guy's confessing left and right. So honestly, I can't wait for the trial and for the jury to.
And like I said, that's the only thing you're going to hear is back then. Once they figured out the FOIAs and they figured out what's what and who's who, and you're not going to hear that again. Now, the letter proves to me that he really did have an attachment and an odd love for Madeline Soto. I mean, I saw more crying and more pain and more everything out of him than I've ever seen out of Jen. Does it mean anybody's better than anybody? No, but Jen Soto should be sitting there right along with him, right across from him with those handcuffs on, right? That's the potato, and she should have the handcuffs. Ocean Cat, you're right. We gotta do what you gotta do. And yeah, I mean, the big channels buy the stuff, and I gotta tell you, everything's going to come out. Every single thing is going to come out. It's just the matter of time and when.
Hear all that, because I think it will make the case pretty simple.
How about that, Margaret? The addition of not just the statements, but writing a poem. I mean, that is all stuff that can be used against you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And a poem, the fact, I wish I was there with you, it's going to make the jury just like, their stomachs are going to turn with this guy. The confessions to his parents, and I'm glad they're there too. But my God, I hate to say it like this, but based on the totality of all the evidence, it looks like it's going to be a very strong case for the prosecution. They don't like child sex offenders anyway, so I wouldn't be surprised if this guy gets the death penalty.
Yeah, we're in Florida. We're in Central Florida. They don't like folks like this. I've covered trials down there before. Let me ask you, Gisela, does he have some sort of a alternative story that somehow explains him being with?
I don't know why he's asking Grizzly. Maybe because of what documents have come out. Now, we're not going to get anything until we start seeing either pre-trial or we start seeing trial. Yeah, J. Italian Cook, I can't breathe. Jen Soto. We're not going to get an alternate story by Stephan ever. We're going to get one from the attorney, and there's going to be a X, Y, and Z, and maybe we're going to get, just maybe, I don't know if it's going to be the truth or not. Are we going to get I walked outside when I came back, Jen and Maddie had a fight. Maddie was on the bed and she turned blue. Are we going to get that? Is he going to throw Jen under the bus, or is he going to let her keep sliding? So far, I haven't heard much. I've heard, well, she's a grieving mother. We want to leave her alone. But that's only from jail calls. We don't know what he's talking to his attorneys about. If he's smart, he would implicate Jen in this but there is a big if.
Her, ice cold. Is there any story that he has told that sort of fills in the blanks?
Really. I mean, he sort of alluded to it and saying he left her there and then he found her like that. So he was alluding to, a stranger. Beyond that, he's just confessed so many times, layer over layer, that I just think it wipes out any possibility. So even if one were to explore that, like if the jury thought, well, that's interesting, what if it was someone else? Because there were other roommates, there were other people on that floor. Nah, I think the evidence is too strong and he said too much. He has literally dug his own grave.
So, Margaret, we've got 2 trials, right? The first trial is all about the information on his Google Drive and on his phone.
And that's why I tell you, once his attorneys reamed him, guys, now, no, it hasn't been ruled on, and that's what we're talking about today. This is new content that came out on Friday with Vinnie, and I didn't even know this other lady was in here, and Grizzly True Crime. We're talking about that. The ruling is coming up. Now, Anna Fleming, that's exactly what his attorney told him. And when we get more FOIAs and we start seeing the messages, you're going to see exactly just that. His defense attorney said, shut your mouth. You're making it hard for us. All right. So again, we're never going to get this back. We're going to hear a lot about how many times he went to the shower, how many times he ate, what did he eat, what did he order, what books did he get? That's it.
Judge has to make a decision about whether or not it comes in. Presuming it comes in, what does that first trial look like in light of all this other evidence?
Nope.
It looks like a guilty. I mean, with all that evidence, oh my gosh, I'd say the
Okay, so listen, there's one extra day that they just pushed back. So the 14th, and I think you guys can see me. Carolina says, uh-oh, but let me know if you guys can't see me. I don't know what happened. Judge was supposed to rule on that, and they were supposed to have it on the 14th of July, and it just got pushed out until the 15th. So we have not got a ruling just yet. Monday, June 30th, they said that, but it's not back just yet. And if it is, guys, if you guys heard of it, please send it over to me and we'll read it together.
jury will come back within 5 minutes, in my opinion, after reviewing all of those text messages. And
yeah, but what she forgets to tell you guys is that these are two separate trials. Guess what, guys? It might not even make it into the capital M trial about all the CSAM. I have to tell you, if his attorneys swing it right, nobody's going to hear about the 35,000 pictures or whatever the evidence that they do let in. They're never going to get to that, especially if it's a death penalty case, because they're going to say it's biased. You're already putting him on you're giving him the death penalty without him being tried. This may never make it to the second trial at all.
It's going to, as I said, again, the only chance, in my opinion, that the defense has in this case is to hope that the judge will side with them and to suppress this evidence. But based on my understanding of Florida law and Fourth Amendment search and seizure, I do believe that there were exigent circumstances and probable cause in this case for the warrantless search of the phone and the seizure.
Yeah, and the exigent circumstances are a child is missing. You are the last person known to be with the child. You've told us something that isn't true. We need to follow up on all this. What does the trial itself look like? I mean, the videos aren't going to be put up on a screen. Like, the jury has to see the images, though, right, Margaret? The jury has to see the images in order to prove the sex abuse.
Absolutely. You know, I think the jury should be allowed to see that evidence. I mean, unfortunately, it's very disturbing, and there will.
You know what would be best, you guys? Honestly, I hate to say this, but for the family and for everybody, I would say it would be best if they let those images in, that Stephan take a plea deal and get that out of the way so we can move forward with the capital case. And I know that people don't want to hear that, but sometimes it's better to save family members. And I'm not talking about Jen Soto. I'm talking about Tyler and Tatiana and anybody that might serve on the jury. Now, just Josie, yeah, this case has death penalty too. But they're not doing it for the CSAM. They've already talked about that, and unless they change it, that's not going to happen. All right, so none of that's going to happen in this case. And if they offered up a plea deal, it might, yeah. I mean, I've had nightmares about this case, you guys, and the poor jurors is right. I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Be an extensive voir dire that will go on in the case. It could take many days, but ultimately, yeah, the jurors are going to have to view some very disturbing images of this sweet young 13-year-old girl. Well, it had been going on for a while, so. But that's part of the prosecution's case. Unfortunately, you have to present evidence that will be disturbing in some of these cases. I mean, I used to be involved in prosecuting child sex offenders years ago, and my God, it's part of the it's part of the case that you have to present.
Yeah, and it's tough for jurors, but they've got to see the evidence. I mean, the evidence, as disturbing as it is, we don't want the public.
Well, the jurors have to see it. The videos aren't presented with audience, absolutely. But even the jurors, you guys, it's horrible. I wouldn't want to see that. I'm just listening to them describe it. And all I think in my head is Jen Soto saying, can I see that picture again? Can I see the picture again? Wait, what? Wait, that. Oh, yeah, now I recognize. And this is what I told Stefan when he asked about his pinky winky and why we called it that was because of the pink spot and then us talking about it, right? Us hearing. I literally talked about Jennifer Coffendorfer coming on my show. None of us had seen those nude pictures just yet. And Jen Coffendorfer comes in here and says it looks like a cactus. And so we're like, wait a minute. Then you've got Gavin Fish explaining how it looks. And then it got leaked. So that's where we found that's where the pinky winky name and the cactus peen was from the picture that was identified originally by Jen Soto, where she didn't recognize the pink mark, pinky winky, and then it spiraled from there, right? So imagine that. Imagine Jen Soto asking to see those pictures again of her daughter being assaulted. All right? Yeah, exactly. Where are you, Jen Soto? Which we're going to talk about tonight.
Seeing it, but the 12 in the box absolutely have to. Gisela, as we look at this man, Stefan Sterns, and we look at the relationship here, and as Margaret said, it wasn't just when she was 13. This goes back years and years.
Yeah, this goes back to when Maddie was about 8 years old, just based on the evidence that they found on the phone. He's also got a USB drive that's not even part of the case with 35,000 other CSAM images. So I don't even know how far back that goes. That would be interesting as well. So I think he's a very, very sick child.
And think about this, guys. There's other people involved in this case with buying, selling, and trading those photos. We've seen the photos of we haven't seen the photos. We've seen the people that have been arrested recently in Florida to take down the CSAM rings. Okay, so any of those people, including the Santa Claus guy that they called Santa Claus, that lived on the same route that it would be to take Maddie to school, is in Florida. All right. And I'm not sure what your question is, Rosie, but let me know what that means. All right, let's keep going. Where is Jen? That's what we're talking about tonight as well. Where is Jen Soto? Is she ever going to be arrested? Are they doing a Wendy Adelson or a Kayla Montgomery where they're going to use her, wipe her out, and then arrest her? Are they going to arrest her for lying on the stand? They've done that. They've done that in the most recent history on the most recent cases.
Who always is the victim. He thinks it's always about him. He feels sorry for himself at all times. I'm sure he's going to feel sorry for himself at his own trials as well.
Well, I want to thank both of you. Gisela K, make sure you check out Grizzly True Crime on YouTube and check out the It's a Crime with Margaret McLean podcast as well. We'll see you again both really, really soon. Up next, what have Stefan Sterns' parents said since their son's arrest?
All right, so we're going to get into that. And Rachel says, imagine he won't plead guilty because he'll get some disgusting sense of gratification. Now, I can tell you what, he's already got evidence, and I hope that, and I would hope to think that that would not be the case. Now, he has access to the evidence, but I don't know how deep. I don't know what they're going to do in court. I would imagine they wouldn't give him access, but I'm not really sure about that. All right. Yes, I did, Rosie. I have written Stefan Sterns and he's accepted it. But what I said was, don't think that I didn't get reamed for talking about the pinky winky and the cactus peen and all that, because I did. All right. I'm accountable for everything I say. I don't delete my videos. I leave them, and I said what I said. I correct it if I need to. What's up, Em? Good to see you, my friend. Haven't seen you in a while.
Her mom, Jen Soto.
Oh, look at
her mom, Jen Soto. Jen had an on-again, off-again relationship with a man named Stefan Sterns. Sterns didn't work much. He didn't own much. So he spent a lot of time over the years living in the house with Jen and Madeline. Then in a strange arrangement, Sterns would sometimes sleep with Jen and Madeline, and sometimes with just Madeline alone. Jen says she didn't suspect anything was going on, but when Madeline went missing and was found murdered, Detectives told Jen that Sterns had pictures on his phone of Madeline being sexually abused by Sterns.
Yeah, man.
Her reaction has raised eyebrows and some suspicion, but Jen has not been charged with anything, while Sterns has been charged with abusing and murdering Madeline and is facing 2 trials and a potential death sentence.
Horrible case. Horrible case.
Absolutely, guys. This is one of the worst cases I've ever seen in my lifetime, and definitely covering this case is awful. It's hard. I've had nightmares. It's not easy. There's battles behind the scenes of YouTube. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just about as bad as the Sebastian Rogers case. But what I've realized, everybody, is that when we don't talk about it, it's one day closer that Jen Soto gets to slip out of the media, and people aren't talking about it anymore. People aren't saying prayers and justice for Maddie. I wish that we could still do that without having to cover it all the time, but there's going to be a lot more covering up. So you're going to see my ugly mug here talking to you guys about this case, because more to come soon. All right, more to come soon. And this is new content. So let's go over it, because soon we're going to hear about the ruling.
A lot of people have pointed the finger at Jen Soto, Madeline's mother, but she hasn't been charged with anything. Nothing criminal. But the choices and decisions she made, according to prosecutors in all of this, were really what set Madeline up to be abused by Stefan Sterns and to ultimately be murdered by Stefan Sterns. Now, Stefan Sterns has his own story to tell about his life, and he has parents. And his parents, in an interview with the YouTube channel Hidden True Crime, really an insightful, open interview, talked a
You know what? Tyler Wallace is not talking to anybody. It's Tatiana that's talking to people. And I got to say, she stopped talking to people when the whole pedo thing came out. Do you remember when the stupid thing that still haunts me, that damn pedophile H ghost that was going on to different platforms and asking for pictures of Maddie and trying to get involved in the case? Well, guess what? He duped her. And she realized, you know what? We don't know who we're talking to behind the scenes. They could pretend like they're anybody. So now it stopped. It stopped. We haven't heard anything. We haven't got to talk to anybody. I just hope that when Maddie's dad or Tatiana are ready to talk, I hope that they're open enough to talk with me, because I'd love to talk with them. But in the meantime, #arrest Jen Soto now.
lot about Sterns, talked about their son, talked about their relationship, talked about the case. It was very, very eye-opening. I want you to take a look at a piece of that interview.
It's very conclusive, and it does, in our mind, indicate Stefan is a lone perpetrator, as much as we want to believe what he said, that there are other people involved. And you look at the evidence that's been presented, and it's pretty conclusive that there doesn't appear to be anybody else involved, and that he is the lone perpetrator.
You don't often see that level of honesty and openness from the parents of someone accused of something this horrific. Sometimes they'll say nothing, and sometimes, they'll.
And you guys do got to remember that Chris handed over that USB. Now, he certainly could have thrown it down the garbage disposal or took it to work with him and put it in a big dumpster or whatever. But I don't even know what's going to happen with the USB that he handed over. And again, it's real shocking when you hear somebody's parents being so open with the public. And again, remember, they've got their side, we've got our side, and then there's a third side that somebody else comes in and says, well, actually, so you guys can take what you want out of what Stefan says, what Jen doesn't say, what his parents say. You can take that. Now, I really, truly don't think that the Sterns are going to go sit behind him in court. Of course, when they go, if they go, they're going to sit in court behind him. But like I said, if they go, there's been death threats onto that family. And, I don't blame them for not wanting to show up there when that level of hate is coming out. So we don't know what we're going to see. We'll see it when the trial comes. We'll see what happens. I know they're not close anymore like they were. Put it that way.
Point the finger in other places. That's not happening in this case. And they have spoken. And that brings us to the next question in our investigation. What have Sterns' parents said since their son's arrest? How much insight are we getting into this accused child abuser and murderer? Here to help answer that question, Dr. Janie Lacey, psychotherapist and CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, and Lauren Mathias, the host of Hidden True Crime, who did that incredible insightful interview. And I don't throw those words around lightly, Lauren, because there's a lot of people doing a lot of things online, and the work that was done there in that interview was really amazing. To really get that level of insight, and the questions were right on, and we appreciate you sharing all that with us tonight. Let me start here, Lauren. How would you describe the overall attitude of Stefan Sterns' parents to everything that has happened here?
You know, the interview that we did with them, I have to share, was after several conversations with him. So I saw them actually behind scenes shift in their thinking. I want to give them that they were evolving with the evidence that came out and process.
That's an awesome way for Lauren to explain it, because I definitely agree with that 110%. Evolving is. We all, I think every one of us here that doesn't evolve and change, we just die. We die and we rot and our minds go crazy. And I gotta say, I've evolved. They've evolved. I mean, we started out on a relationship where we're texting each other, and you know, I got a lot of heat, and I don't blame them for coming at me hot because of this shit that I say on here, right? I say some pretty harsh stuff, guys, and I like that Lauren's kind of picking it apart a little bit better, because I feel like I wanted to hear more about, like, in the mind of the parents, and I didn't get that, so I feel like I'm gonna get it more now. All right. And Sin, thank you so much for the Guilty of Crime membership. Love you guys. All right, let's keep going. We still got some way to go.
Seeing what their son was guilty of. And so I understand seeing and hearing those jailhouse calls with them is confusing to many people. But I think overall, what I saw them process was that at first, when they first spoke to us, and a lot I can't share because it, you know, is off record, but what I can share is that they evolved in how they were dealing with their son's guilt. And so at the time when they finally said, you know, we're ready to do this interview, they had progressed because they weren't there the first time we spoke to them either.
I want to take a listen to another piece of the interview here talking about the family, like the Sterns family.
Now, I don't want to say too much again either, but they did have to move away. I mean, look at the Carmelos. They moved away, but they asked people for money. They're not asking anybody for anything except to live in peace. And, you know, I don't know if some of you guys know or not, but Deb had a heart attack, a big heart attack 2 years, or a year before Stefan did all this shit. And so now they're a lot farther away, and Deb's dealing with the aftermath of having a heart attack. And so I don't think it does speak volumes of them if they only go once. I think it just means, number one, it's hard on them. They're in their 70s. And number two, people want to hurt them. All right. They want to hurt them. They just got a letter last week saying some real awful, nasty things. They were doxxed again after moving and changing numbers. So you know what? I'm not gonna go on that side. I'm gonna say, hey, if they go, they go. Great. If they don't, man, they're in their freaking 70s and they're being attacked and harassed. They're not starting a GoFundMe, which, by the way, we're going to talk about Carmelo tomorrow, the Carmelo Anthony case, and the Black community turning on them because they were using their EBT cards literally to fund Carmelo Anthony. And now they've gone on the flip side. So look at them. The Anthony's asking for $1.something million. And these parents not only evolving, but getting out information that none of us would have known. So anyone could say anything about anybody. Just try to, you guys are great in chat right now. Thank you so much, by the way, because I was really worried about how I was going to go today. All right, let's keep going.
There was never any physical abuse or sexual SA abuse at home. None of that. He was always provided a warm, loving, caring environment. Love that kid to death. Smothered him.
I don't
know. What? You didn't smother him. Well, smothered him with love, whatever. But we there was never any denial of any outward affection from him and us, and even to this day, still a lot of outward display of love and affection.
Dr. Janie Lacey, this is such a tough spot to be a parent, and this isn't a young child. Obviously, this is an adult, but your child is always your child. To be put in this position, how do you see them coping with this?
Well, Vinnie, when we go back and think about those first phone calls, I remember just them hearing like shock and this disbelief, right? And then as we just heard my co-panelist mention, the evolution of these parents, like even how.
And rightfully so. When you say Kitty Bobo, when you say his actions are his own, I have to agree with that. And I have to sympathize with the parents even further after I had videos coming out of Jay from Guilty of Crime supporting her nephew. God forbid he did a crime at 18 and was getting rehabilitated, and Auntie Jay came and helped him out and got him a lawyer. What a bad, terrible family member I am. I'm trying to rehabilitate a child so that he doesn't do worse crimes. So I can understand that. And the reason I sympathized in the first place is because I told the world that my mom supported my brother and my nephew going to prison for doing years for robbery. Okay, so when my mom got attacked for that, or when it even came to me because I'm his aunt. Even though I raised him, he was raised with me. I'm a lot older than him, but no, those are other people's actions, and family does that for each other. All right. So that's why I could sympathize even more. Again, I'm not totally like, oh my God, but I'm just saying. All right. You cannot it's like when parents are blaming themselves because their child's gay. Back in the day, oh my God, my daughter's gay or my son's gay. What did I do wrong? It has nothing to do with you, ma'am or sir. It's just what it is. Right. I wanted to use that as an example because I've heard a lot of parents when they have transgender, and it's our last day of Pride Month, by the way, trans or gay, they don't know who to blame for it. And then they look at themselves, but it's your child. It's just what it is. All right. So thank you for the one Guilty of Crime membership. Thank you. Yeah, it could happen to anyone. It's happened to me, just guilty by association.
Recalling the conversation that we heard through the jailhouse phone call where they had asked him if he expected the murder charge, and he said no. And he said it was kind of like a gut punch, I believe was his quote. And his father expressing, was baffled by the situation for even being there. So seeing them come to this place where they can say that he's the lone perpetrator, I would imagine that they had to get through denial and get through the shock and get through their own grief to be able to speak publicly about it, because we know that parents don't know everything about their children. And as willing as we are as parents, you may want to be able to speak on their behalf, but there's probably a lot of things that are going to come out about maybe things that his parents weren't even aware of. And when we look at someone that's in this position, we look at childhood trauma, we look at deviancy, we look at the arousal template that happens as we progress and develop. And when things happen to us or to people that changes them off course, all of those things.
Like, imagine, would you guys ever tell, if you were a guy at home and 40, would you ever tell your mom, hey, by the way, be careful, I've got a SEX doll in the closet. It's a half torso. So if it falls out while you're putting my laundry away, don't worry about it. My goodness. I remember hearing about the SEX torso and thinking, oh my goodness, I couldn't even imagine, like thinking, is that a body? Was that Maddie? Just imagine that. And just pray, you guys, that never happens to you, or none of this ever comes close to happening to you. I'm so glad I didn't have any more than 2 children, because at least I can hope that baby guilty, I can steer baby guilty right. And my grown son is already going to be 26. But my God, like, Jesus.
have to be looked at. So the parents are one perspective, and I would imagine, understandably, they have grief, they're struggling with it, and they've probably had to come to a place of really being able to speak to where they are saying these things today.
Now, Lauren, there was a lot in that interview that was eye-opening for me. One of the biggest ones I want to play for you right now because I want to talk about it. And this is Stefan's mom talking about the money that her son and Jen Soto seem to have.
Ask yourself the big question, the really big question out there. All of that stuff on the computer, all of that stuff on his phone, all of the money that was coming in by the handfuls and the way they were spending it.
Damn.
Where did it come from?
Damn.
This one was shocking to me. Lauren, your reaction to the Stefan's mom talking about a lot of money coming into their home. And these two people weren't really working.
That just means that there were pictures being sold on the dark web. We've done whole episodes on where these pictures are coming from, where they went, and what platforms did they go to, and where did they come from. And I gotta tell you, Jen wanted to go to school to become a hacker, what she called it. I'm telling you right now, her confidence level was high when she thought that those videos or those pictures were erased. I'm going to tell you, number one. And number two, I think before Stefan Sterns, she was giving her child out to whoever she could that would watch her, take care of her, sleep with her, whatever, to get her get her out of there. Yeah, crypto, that you really, I don't know how you trace that. I'm not into any of that stuff. I don't know, but there's got to be some trace of what they're talking about here. Where'd the money come from?
Yeah, it was actually shocking to me too. I mentioned that we spoke to them several times before they chose to do the interview, and that was still shocking when when Deborah stated that. And I think she was certainly alluding to what we think she's alluding to. And I've always wondered if there was going to be more charges due to what she's implying there. Whether I know she knows definitively, I don't know, but she's certainly speculating like the rest of us about her own son and his girlfriend's possible income and how they're receiving that.
I mean, there's so many images, and that's been the talk for the entirety of all this. Why would you keep all those images? Let me ask you, Dr. Janie Lacey, is there a place where someone would commit these acts and keep all of these images just for personal gratification versus doing something with it commercially to get money?
Well, there's a spectrum, Vinnie. So when we look at these deviant behaviors, we do see where people almost keep it for their own personal trophy and their own reviewing and critique. And then we also see where it's used in commercial sex purposes, where it's put in the underground, it's put in the black market, and there's monies that are made off of these things. So we know that exists. So we can probably speculate that it's somewhere on the spectrum that all those images were on his phone, either for his own trophy and replaying of his own sick gratification, or there's some type of commercial sex that potentially can be on the black market.
Lauren, what were his parents' attitudes about Jen Soto? What did they think of her?
This, I don't know why.
They did both things in the interview and with us. They blamed her, specifically Deborah, but then she also showed Jen empathy, and I think that's fair too to have.
Now, I don't think cops lied at all, Maxie. And again, we're here. We can agree to disagree. I don't think the cops are lying about anything, but us as just basic mamas, mama bears, just basic necessity. Wake up, take care of your kid. Why was Jen? And Jen is not as dumb as you think. As a matter of fact, we had a roommate in the very beginning that I talked to all the time that said, don't let Jen fool you. Just because she's high all the time doesn't mean she didn't know what was going on. But she did certainly give Stefan complete and utter access to Maddie, which alone is neglect and death resulting in neglect. So I don't think the cops are lying. I'm not saying that. I've never said the cops are lying ever. But yeah, we have to agree to disagree on this point. All right.
An array, of why wasn't Jen doing more to protect her daughter, and did she essentially offer her daughter up, and then also understanding that there is only one sole person to blame, and also offering Jen a lot of empathy later on in the interview. And I also know, and I think I can share this, that Deborah regretted not sharing more empathy for Jen in this interview with me. She later shared that. So I think that though, but to be fair, I think that there is a lot of anger and probably wanting to pass the blame to somebody else, while also feeling sorrow. They also cared a lot about Madeline as well, and sorrow for what their son has done.
All right, our guests are staying with us. Still to come, we're going to talk about Madeline's mother. Where is Jen Soto?
I showed you a picture. Great topic, guys. And if you remember, before we even get into anything, remember Jen Soto lived in the condo, and just right down the street was Stephanie Soto. So I'm going to speculate that Jen Soto is still staying with Stephanie, and she's hiding out. There's a few people that have called me and said, hey, I've seen Jen, or I thought I've seen Jen, or I know where Jen is. So yes, if you guys just got here, I know everybody's all into the Brian Kohberger plea deal, and every channel streaming it. Thank you. Normally we'd probably have anywhere from 600 to 800 people in chat, but it's a real nice small chat today so that I can address your questions and talk to you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and get a membership if you can. Today is the last day of the month, so thank you. All right. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. I miss you guys. I miss my crime crew. You know, there's a different crime crew when I stream the Madeline Soto case. And boy, have I missed you guys. All right. Where's Jen? Where's Jen Soto?
The picture you saw, she was giving a to a grown man. And you told his dad to get him a lawyer.
Coming soon to Court TV.
It's the biggest story that we're covering.
These murders have shaken our community.
All right, there it is, guys. If you missed out, Brian Kohberger did take a plea deal today. His plea deal was to say that he killed all 4 of the Idaho 4 students, and we don't know if part of the plea deal stipulation is going to be that he tells. We'll find out real soon, but there will not be a trial in August anymore, and the defense of some other guy did it, or I was stargazing. It didn't fly, guys. So here we go. Let's go. Norma, missed you as well. Voices Carrie, good to see you. Everybody else, good to see you. Come on in. Come on in. Let's go.
He is the boogeyman.
So many eyes have been on Donna Adelson.
Oh my God, this is a good one too, guys. These are the cases that I haven't covered with you, but I am following them. So if you guys want to chat about it, guilty of crime by j@gmail.com. Let me know. Give me case suggestions. Let me know what you want to talk about. I'm all for true crime all the time, guys. And thank you so much. I'm going to call you YB so I don't say your name wrong. Thanks for the live. You're one of the best. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. I love you guys. Let's get to the top, all right? Let's get to the top. Let's be the best. Lynn, I'm really glad that we can agree to disagree, Jay. I'm not sure I feel about Jen being in prison. I do believe she is responsible for child abuse leading to death. Absolutely. We can agree to disagree. I think we went off the rails a little bit when we were covering a bullying case the other day. I don't know how it went off the rails when we said no bullying allowed on this channel. We don't let it happen. But, you know, we can't. There's only so much we can do. We just put out what we can. We love you. Goldie, I hope you come back because I really don't know what happened in chat, but we do our best here. So thank you. Agree to disagree, and we just try to be as respectful as possible. Now, where's Jen Soto?
Sure. The picture you saw, she was giving a to a grown man.
Yes.
And you told his dad to get him a lawyer. Missing, right? Now you. But then you just thought she was missing, and we were showing you our investigative lead being raped. Rape not consensual. Whether she wants to do it or not, that is not consensual.
Bad reaction or lack of reaction. You find out that your boyfriend is doing these things to your daughter, and you're like, hey, he needs a lawyer. Like, that's your
Yeah, I just saw my boyfriend's, we'll call it the pinky winky. I just saw my boyfriend's pinky winky in my daughter's mouth. Yeah, think you can get me an attorney? Oh, better yet, let me call his dad. Let me call his dad and ask for an attorney. All right, by the way, this is it's our queen snake, and this is Jen Soto's mom, Yolanda. She's the queen of the snakes. I put the glasses on because, well, I thought it was cute, but there you go. All right, we got a evil potato, we got a handcuffed potato, and a bunch of other stuff just to kind of, make us smile when we're going through this awful dark chat that we're talking about. All right, let's keep going. Where's Jen Soto?
Reaction. People from the beginning have been talking about Jen Soto in this case for obvious reasons. She's a single mom. Her daughter is the victim. But her daughter was being molested for years under her roof by her boyfriend, who she told to go upstairs with her daughter alone to be in the bedroom together. So people, for obvious reasons, are questioning her. She hasn't been charged with anything. Not charged with anything. Take a listen to some of the things that Jen Soto has said during the...
And remember, she not only called Chris Sterns to get him to get Stefan a lawyer, she also called her ex named Stephan, and she said, do you know any lawyers that I can get for Stefan? The guy that was last seen with her daughter. And those pictures, guys, though, I would have thrown up. I would have thrown up in that room. I'd have been so nauseous and so disgusted and so angry. And so, I would have just been in a haze. Oh my God, I just don't know. What's up? Good to see you. All right, go back and rewatch. But right now, we're live. Thank you.
Course of all of this playing out. Let's take a look.
What was the last thing, I guess, the conversation that you two had, you and your daughter?
We spoke about her birthday party. She had a birthday party on Sunday. She had a great time. I couldn't make it because I was working, but she had an amazing time. She was so happy with all her gifts. I told her good night, and yeah, that was it.
If I knew anything, I promise you, I would tell you. I am willing to take a lie detector test, whatever the you want, but I don't know anything. He's never mentioned anything. I've never seen any signs. I tried watching her like a hawk. I thought I was doing a good job, but I wasn't.
No, you were not doing a good job. And when his mother came to you and said, stop having Maddie sleep with you. Stop having Maddie sleep with you and Stefan. She's too damn old. You kept doing it anyway. And she did it for years and years, guys. If they would have stopped at that point, there was already a full-blown whatever was going on between Stefan and Maddie. I mean, come on. Stefan would get out of the shower booty butt naked and walk in there, and him and Jen and Maddie would be flirting with him. That's disgusting. That alone, man. I just want to Jen Soto.
I was oblivious to everything. 4 years?
Minimum. That's just how far back the clown goes.
I've always told him that my biggest fear is that this would turn into a Woody Allen situation where the stepdaughter or the dad grooms the child, and the child then turns 18 and ends up running away with him. I told him that was my biggest fear, and I don't ever want that happening. You can't do that to me.
Why would you say that to him?
Because I never trusted. I grew up being told never trust a man. My mom.
And what happened? Now, Teresa, I don't even know how to explain that, but there is some odd love between a victim and their perpetrator that happens, especially over amount of time. And I do think that Maddie hitting 13 was starting to say no more. I can rule out, and I don't care who says what, it's my damn opinion to say that Maddie was not pregnant. That was not. And again, if I'm wrong, I'll come back later and say, hey guys, that was my opinion, and I'm allowed to have an opinion. And my opinion, with the evidence that's been presented to me, says that Maddie was not pregnant. But I do think that she was getting over the whole weird situation and having to be so hush hush and just this odd dynamic. Stefan had left. He was gone for a while. He was gone for a whole month, and she was doing her thing. Yeah, however you want to call it, that it was a total grooming situation, not only by Stefan, but Jen okayed it too. If Jen was really sitting there flirting with Stefan while he was getting out of the bathroom, or having her lay in his armpit and cuddle. That's not right. That's unacceptable. Absolutely. All right, let's listen to her lies some more.
Put that in my body. Never trust a man.
Never trust a man, but you have a man in your life sleeping upstairs and you send your daughter up there to be with him alone.
Often.
Yet you were told never trust. Like, none of this stuff makes sense. And that brings us to the next question in my investigation. Where is Jen Soto? When I asked that question, different ways. Where is she? Physically, where is she? Mentally, where is she? Still with us, Dr. Janie Lacey and Lauren Mathias. Let me ask you, Dr. Janie Lacey, where do you think she is mentally?
Well, mentally, hopefully that she's getting some type of professional help. When we see these situations happen, we almost see like there's a separation that occurs. There's a disassociation that occurs in order to be able to move on with life. So my assumption would be that if she's not getting professional help, that the natural course would be there's some type of disassociation that happens where there can be an embracing of a reality, but also separating from the reality, which happens as a way to kind of be self-protective. So we would see that sometimes in these cases. But my hope and my guess would be that maybe she's in some type of professional help so that she can really come to grips with what has happened and the part that she has played in all of this, Vinnie.
Lauren, have we seen or heard from her? And do we have any idea where she's been, what she's been doing, and whether or not she's expected to testify at the trial?
I've heard very little from, I think everybody's wondering.
Yeah, this is not one of the big cases that Hidden True Crime is following. However, I believe a lot of people are on that witness list, and they're not going to not have Jen Soto fill in those blanks, all right? There's no way that they're not going to. Now, is she going to be a good witness? No. She's lied a whole bunch, and she's going to crumble on that stand. But who is that good for? As long as it's not good for her and it helps to get that prosecution and to get it right, that's what I say, all right? And yeah, the Adelson case is another one I've been following, but I haven't covered on here.
The same thing you are, Vinnie. Where is Jen Soto? And you're right, figuratively, literally, where is she? She's not speaking out.
Definitely.
She's staying fairly quiet. I suspect that she would certainly testify at the upcoming trials, but we haven't heard much.
Of course not.
It's interesting, right? There hasn't been a statement, because my understanding is she had a lawyer or has a lawyer, and he hasn't even made a statement. And I understand you don't have to, there's no obligation. But in many circumstances like this, where your child is the victim, Lauren, through the years, we've seen someone come out and make a statement and say something, but it's been silence from her and pretty much from her family as well.
Which is the right thing to do, you guys. Literally, I would give you the advice if one of you guys called me and said, hey, I just did this and the police are knocking on my door. What should I do? Everybody says, be quiet and get a lawyer. And that's what she did. Yes, she's a terrible mother. And you know what? That was perfectly said. You say, for me, she's not disassociating. She was realizing she allowed Stefan to abuse and unalive Maddie. That is why she acted like that. And she realized that it's over. Her con is done. Her access to whatever she had access to before, no more. Maddie's not there. Stefan's gone. She's all alone. And look they have pictures. They know. They found out it was for so many years, guys. So many years. So, that's like a lifetime. A 6-7 year, especially in the mind of a little 13-year-old girl that just turned 13. That's a lifetime. She realized the jig is up.
Sister, her mother, etc.
Complete silence, no statements whatsoever. And especially with all of the contradicting things she has said, the criticism she has received, personally, I think rightfully so, wanting to get Stefan an attorney, when she first heard of the abuse of her daughter. I think we're all wondering, and her silence, I guess you could say, is also speaking volumes. Is she afraid of getting charged? Is she afraid of saying the wrong thing? Is she been told to stay silent? But you're right, the silence is deafening, and we're certainly hearing it. If that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Dr. Jane Lacey, what do you think that moment will be like if in fact she's, and I agree with Lauren, I think she needs to be a witness in this case. If she's in that courtroom on the witness stand talking about her child who's been murdered, her child who's been sexually abused for years, with images of that abuse being recorded, and the defendant, the man that she took under her roof, the man who she sent her daughter to sleep alone with in the bed upstairs, being on the stand testifying. What do you think that will be like for her?
I think that it's going to be really difficult, but I also making assumptions that the lack of charges to me is going to suggest that investigators believe that she was more negligent than criminal.
There you go. And that's the thing, what she just said, she was more negligent than criminally liable, unless they were to find something, or when Stephan is coming up with his defense, if there's something that's there, not just, oh, I don't want to get in trouble now, let me put it off on Jen. No, there really has to be some tangible evidence for her to be arrested and then go through a trial, or if it's not a trial, take a plea. And Shorty Pie, I guarantee you, in my opinion, she was jealous of Maddie. They fought a lot. What mother says my worst nightmare is Woody Allen, meaning my daughter's going to run, and she says it, my daughter's going to run off with a man or stepdad that she fell in love with? There's no way that that statement would have came out at all if that didn't exist of what you just said. All right? No way.
Complicit, right? So I think her role in facilitating access between Sterns and Madeline raises serious questions about the paternal responsibility and protection. So I would believe that there would be a lot of questions around that parental responsibility and that protection. And I would also assume that just because she's has appearance to have maintain this low profile, I would imagine that she's been told to keep quiet, because then it keeps her out of public scrutiny. Because with no public statements, then there's nothing that really can be held on to. So to remain silent. But she is a vital witness, in my opinion, because this raises that important question about how do we identify and intervene when children truly are victims, and what is the parental responsibility, especially by her giving access to the.
Agreed. And every single mama bear, every single woman that ever talks about the Soto case just about says the same thing. Now, Rachel, all three of them were reportedly upset, having mental health episodes the Saturday leading up to Maddie's death. If it was premeditated, what could be the motive? The reason I stopped on that is because I do want to answer that question for you. Premeditated can mean up to the minute of something, right? So someone's there and you are, let's say, remember, she had a broken hyoid bone and she was strangled. When you're strangling someone, it takes anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. It could be 2, but 3 to 5 minutes to do this to somebody and take their breath away. That can mean premeditation, that you didn't stop. So it doesn't need to be premeditated like they planned it the day, the week, the month, the year before. It could literally be minutes into taking somebody's life. All right. It's much different when you do this to someone than when you pull the trigger. So, and again, that could be premeditated if you brought it, loaded it, right? So that's what it is. That's what I'm telling you about premeditated, up until the minute. All right, let's keep going. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
A perpetrator.
Lauren, we have about 30 seconds left here. How would you describe the relationship between Jen Soto and her daughter, Madeline?
Thank you.
Oh, wow. 30 seconds, Vinnie? Really? 30 seconds?
Sorry.
Complicated. You want the mother to be the protector, the fighter. And originally she certainly came out like that, right? She came out and said, I need to find my daughter. She seemed nervous. She seemed stressed. She was working to finding her. And then as time went on, you saw her in sort of this denial of like, oh, I didn't know what was going on. I sent her upstairs to this man, and then protecting the perpetrator. So she went from what we thought was maybe this doting protective mother to sort of protecting the man responsible for her daughter's death. And that's where the public has become furious and upset.
Exactly. And Frank Shaw, what's up? Frank the Tank from Kissimmee is here. What's up, Frank the Tank? How you doing, my friend? All right. yeah, she's never was convincing. The whole thing is disgusting. I agree. And I mean, we're all appalled as women, as mothers, right? It's hard not to be. It's hard to side with Jen Soto when she's lawyered up. She's lied over and over. She tried to protect the man that did, in fact, and did in fact get charged for taking her life, did in fact dump Maddie's body, because we didn't see it, but we heard that there's videos of Maddie not being alive in the car, and then having a flat tire, be pulled over. He moved her body in the hotel from the passenger to the trunk. So we've seen Stephan with Maddie where she's not alive anymore, and that's what he's being accused for. And then you get the CSAM pictures on top of that, and you can't dispute that. You can't dispute any of that. So that's why I think we're so upset about it.
Absolutely.
And I would say it's confusing.
Confusing. Thank you. Lauren Mathias, Hidden True Crime. Dr. Janie Lacey, thank you both so much.
Right.
Prosecutors say Jen Soto did not kill her daughter. They also say they have no evidence she has done anything illegal. But at this point, no one is really giving her a pass, because not only did she not protect her daughter, she actually put her in harm's way. The question is, did she have any idea what she was doing? I'm Vinnie Politan.
All right, and he knows that's a good question to ask, because we all know by now, right? The ones that have been here for it's been a year and a couple months. Anybody that's been here for a year and a couple months with us know that Jen Soto is not as dumb as she pretends to be. She's not just that dumb potato that's sitting there and had no idea what was going on. We see her and she's very conniving. Rachel, good to see you, my friend. You guys, what's up? Everybody that came in early and supported the channel has been here. I know you guys could be somewhere else, but you're here. I know the Brian Kohberger case is popping. I see thousands and thousands of people. Yeah, the numbers on the doors are disturbing. Very disturbing. And I hear that in that area around Disney World, that people do that and they rent out rooms. But I do think that it went much deeper and it was more nefarious than that with the numbers on the doors. I do believe that they were producing bigger amounts of CSAM than we know, but I think that we will know. All right. And Anaska, she was making her seem like a little vegetable. Yeah. I mean, the evidence is going to speak for itself, and there's nothing that we can do until the trial happens, until Jen Soto is put out there and we hear her talk. We're not going to hear her talk until court comes, right? I don't think we're going to get another shot at an interview with her. Absolutely. Yep. You can call it that. You call it the brothel, whatever you want. Norma says facts remain. She stated she sent them to bed together in another bedroom. She will go to her death with never knowing how vile she was as a supposed mother. I think she will know. I think if she doesn't get arrested, she is going to be another Casey Anthony. All right, guys. Yeah, she does play dumb. She plays dumb, looks dumb, and thought criminal. Yes, the rooms were all numbered after Juan moved out. So Juan is Jen's father. Jen's father lived in that condo with Jen, with Maddie. They didn't have numbers on the doors. As soon as Juan moved out, we got numbers on the doors. And number 4 was the room that, in my opinion, was staged for CSAM. All right. It was staged for CSAM. It didn't have identifiable marks. It didn't have identifiable bedding. It looked like a hotel. All right. So yeah, I believe that was on purpose. I hope that I hope she doesn't have another child, but I don't think she will. She's already going to be 40, and I don't think she's going to have any more children. So there's that. All right. So yeah, thought criminal. Now you see. Definitely, if you want to dig into this case further, you can go back to my playlist and watch some of the videos. Probably the videos that have the most views will give you the most out of that, because otherwise there's hundreds of videos in the Madeline Soto case. All right, guys, so let's stay tuned with each other. We've been here for typical hour and 38 minutes. You know how we do here on Guilty of Crime. Most of our episodes are about an hour and a half long. And we did that today. So thank you. Tomorrow, we're going to come back with some controversy. So stay tuned, and remember, let's be as thoughtful and nice as we can when we agree to disagree. Tomorrow there's going to be quite a bit going on, and it's most of my topics are controversial. All right. Now, Teresa says, that's what concerns me, but I didn't see what it was. By the way, Jays are the best to get information. Thank you so much. I've been close to the case for such a long time, and I just want to get some closure. All right, a couple more questions, and we'll head out. Norma, do we know if Juan ever confirmed that he needed the rooms rented, displacing his granddaughter for money? I don't believe he demanded rentals. I don't believe he demanded rentals. I do believe that he demanded rent. I do believe that he moved out and said, Jen, I bought this condo. The mortgage is $2,000 a month or $2,500 a month. You pay it. And I think she decided to label the rooms, make the CSAM. She realized. So that's that. I'm glad you feel safe there. Controversial mean everybody does not agree with my topics and everyone is not in the same community. So when I say to you tomorrow, Carmelo Anthony is broke and his family and the Black community is turning against him, some people might disagree, but we want to stay focused on what we disagree about and be nice about it. Nancy Jean, thank you so much for the $9.99. Great I got tongue-tied. Great recap and congrats on your communication with SS. All right, guys, I love you. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. You know, at some point, it's all going to come out. And then, of course, you guys will be the first one to hear about it. In the meantime, I keep everything right here, and I'll talk to you guys real soon. You guys have a good night. I love every single one of you, and it's so good to have you guys back here with me. Love you. Go watch some more true crime or go eat some dinner, whatever you do. Have a good night. Love you, and stay safe. Remember, justice for Madeline Soto and hashtag let's arrest Jen Soto, guys. If not, she's going to stay on our list forever, like Casey Anthony. All right, guys, have a good one. I love you all.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?